opportunities available. So yes, all your questions will be answered. You'll be fed with massive information, one that you cannot actually, you're getting it for free. Expensive information, you're getting it for free, all thanks to African Farmer. African Farmer, hi, good evening.
Good evening, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. You have a huge grin on your face. Well, you had a great weekend?
Yes, we had a great weekend. We had some collaborations with some oil and gas.
Ooh.
Looking into how to come into the agri sector, and I was happy when we finished the program. Yeah.
You know, talking about oil and gas, it's quite interesting how it dropped to $30.
You should keep dropping.
You should? You want it to happen?
Yes, you
Oh,
should.
African Farmer, don't say that.
You see, every time
We are going to suffer.
no, we won't suffer. It's just temporal. Every time Agric begins to get that momentum, and the price of oil goes up, they forget it. So you'll find everybody saying, "Oh, we're going to Agric," especially the investors. And the moment the price of oil goes up, you see the commitment begin to drop. So if it drops further, then we would have more sustainable policies, and you'll have more people coming and across the value chain, and then it will be sustainable. So it should drop further.
Oh, God, let's see. Then we'll pick up our tools,
Yeah.
and go into the farm. All right. Now, there are immense opportunities, as you already know, in the Nigerian agricultural sector, especially due to the fact that we're still a developing nation, okay? In Nigeria, we're still heavily reliant on rainy season to produce. In developed economies, though, production is done all year round. You see farmers in Nigeria complaining, oh, there's no rain, too much dry season, this and that. But in other countries, no, they have different ways to go around it. Now, there are some new and constant challenges that farmers face that need to be solved in order to reach the true potentials available in the Nigerian market. So I want us to talk about these mistakes that we make, the common mistakes that we can avoid, you know, when starting our agribusiness. First of all, do you think we should be conscious of the weather?
Yes, climate change has come to change the dynamics of agribusiness across the value chain. So, one is you must pay attention to climate. It's very crucial.
Okay.
NIMET brought out some prediction for the year, but many people won't be able to interpret that. And when they say there would be droughts, or there will not be consistency in the rainfall, that is good enough for a farmer to lose their harvest. So if you don't have that understanding and you jump into that and don't make provisions for irrigation, or to go and plant in a land that is a bit swampy, so that at around that period you would have your crops do well, or if you don't understand, and I talk about crops a lot, you know, and if you don't understand that around that time comes some form of cool weather and you plant a tropical variety, you lose everything. So weather is crucial, very crucial.
Absolutely crucial. So what are other mistakes that people, I mean, you're a pro, and I'm sure you've made your mistakes as well, and you see young people making some mistakes without actually doing things differently. What are those mistakes that we can avoid?
Not only young people, and I have a trailer load of mistakes.
Okay.
Which is what I turn now into the consulting and advisory, because it takes experience, not knowledge. You can have knowledge and not have experience.
Okay.
You know, you can read about it, you can watch somebody from afar, but without getting involved, gives you
hands-on,
experience. So, you know, that's so there are basically five. There are more than five, but there are five common ones that I will touch on today, and move to another aspect of starting your agribusiness. So the first one is what I call the opportunity fever. What is opportunity fever? And I've touched this on some old episodes, but now that we have more listeners and many of them are asking about the same question, we decided to touch this. So we call this opportunity fever. Opportunity fever is when you have a gap like rice,
Okay.
like tomatoes. When you have those gaps and you see the amount of money that they said that data brings out that is available, and you decide to rush into it because of the money you make. And my experience is many people who move into agriculture to make money, they lose money. Most people who move into agri to add value, they make money eventually. So the moment you begin to look at adding value to the sector or to the produce, you make money because your thinking is long term. But when it's I want cash sharp sharp, you lose the money. I've lost it. Many have lost it. Our fathers and grandfathers have lost it, especially generals, and the civil servants who got into the peak, and people who leave the private sector, bankers, they burn it like no man's business. So opportunity fever is, there's a gap. You're looking at filling it. The question is, must you fill it? Do you have the experience to fill it? Do you have the knowledge to fill it? Does your time permit?
Is this sustainable?
Is this sustainable for you?
Yeah.
Does your time permit? And even a component of opportunity fever that we don't pay attention to, especially in Nigeria, we retire into agriculture. I like to begin to emphasize on that, as against it being a family business. But yeah, because of the peculiarity of the environment we are, you don't just retire into agriculture. You move into agriculture through a process, maybe 5 years before you retire, minimum of 3 years before you retire. 2 years is too close. You're better investing and not run into agribusiness. And I mean anything in agribusiness, because it's a total disruption to what you're used to. So many people retire, and when they retire, they're looking at, okay, I should cut down my work time and relax because age is not on my side. But unfortunately, the agribusiness they go and invest in happens to be another 9 to 5 to them, which is what their energy and health cannot embrace. So you now hear them, tomato is selling, and you now want to rush into tomato.
Yeah.
Cucumber is selling, it give you high blood pressure, sharp sharp. But you should be looking at long-term stuff. Cocoa, avocado, salsa, things that long-term, because you know that legacy is what you should be thinking about. So opportunity fever is one. Then I would go to big farm syndrome.
Big farm syndrome.
Yeah, big farm syndrome. What is big farm syndrome? There's a saying, you start small and grow big. But you need to start small, but you have that big picture in. And if you have a vision, and which probably I'll take next week, but I decided to say, if we start with the mistakes, and you know how to avoid the mistakes. I heard Pastor Adeboye say something some years back, said people fail because they don't know how to pass. Because if you know how to pass, you won't fail. And so if you can avoid some mistakes, then it means that you're on the right path. It doesn't mean you will not go through the learning curve.
Of course.
But you can avoid them. So the big farm syndrome is, you want to start big. You want to embrace the opportunity the way you find it, as against learning. And so you want to put money into it, or you have an uncle or sister who has money or has network or influence, and you jump into it big. You learn big with that resources, and sometimes trust and credibility is the price you pay for starting big. And one of the things I've seen is that the people, especially the oil and gas, who want to retire into agri, what they do is they want to bring it in without adapting it. So what happens to that is they lose everything. Unfortunately, they're married, or most of them are married. They have commitments to wife or wives, as the case may be, and they've said, oh, this is what I'm doing, to friends. And so when everything shuts down, it becomes something internalized. They begin to see themselves as failure because there's nothing you can show for it.
Well, when it comes to learning, does the big farm syndrome come to play? Like, if, for example, I want to go into farming as a beginner, and I have the big farm syndrome, I want to start learning from a big farm. Isn't that
The dynamics are different. Going to a big farm just is good, because I did that. I went to very big farms to ingrain a picture of a better tomorrow, of a tomorrow. This is where I want to get to. And that is what it should be, to have that picture that I can do this. But start where you are. So I would always advise that you go to an average of 7 farms in maybe 7 different locations. The more exposure you get, the better you come. You just don't go and visit. You visit and take notes. Write what they are doing down. It doesn't have to be that you want to grow corn and so you only go to 7 corn farms. No, go to different farms. You'll see operations. You will see peculiar challenges. You will see rural engagement. You will hear a lot of things, and each time you take notes, it helps you to compare notes, and it helps you to put together what your operations should look like based on that experience. So big farm syndrome is huge around here because we want to blow. It's not all the youths that only want to blow. You know, the mindset is we're pushed by the needs we have, and so there's die alone sickness.
Die alone sickness?
Yes.
Those who don't want to share information.
Exactly, you're brilliant. They don't want to share information. They don't want people to know what they're doing, and so they want to make the money alone, and not forgetting that if something happens, you're alone. So instead of sharing the risk, bringing your friends together for you to, co-sponsor or co-fund the project, you want to do it alone. So a 10 million investment shared with 10 people means that you've reduced the risk on 9 million for you. So you keep 9 million, you experiment with 1 million, but 10 of you share that risk.
Yeah.
So if something goes wrong, maybe natural disaster, like if you're in Kenya and now locust shows up, yes, you've insured it, insurance will pay you money back, but nobody invests to get claim. Because insurance will always give you a bit lower, just a little lower than your investments. But if it's your money, the money goes. But if 10 of you share the risk, then you keep 9 million to observe, but you're still running a 10 million project, and 10 quality brains would be brainstorming. So that is something that we need to begin to embrace here, especially because you didn't go into farming as a family business. You're going into farming or agribusiness, processing, marketing, whatever you're going into. Even if you're a marketer, in terms of you do marketing and sales as a business, and you're coming into agriculture, these are perishable goods. So whatever value chain, you need to bring people in. So another is Google farming.
Google farming.
Yeah, Google farming.
I think that's self-explanatory.
Yeah. So for the accountants, when we're talking to ICANN and ACCA people, we call it calculator farming, because they only understand figures. And so when they say, okay, what's the harvest? What's the yield? What do you need? What's the cost? When they do the calculation, what's the market price? Wow, this is money. But the money is on paper. The reality is different. The community, the transporters, there's a lot of things that don't show on the paper. You can have the knowledge, but the experience is different. So they make money online on the Google. They read far and wide, and like I say, precision. Those operations are done. What you see online is precision farming. And so because we don't have the equipment, you don't have the backup, we don't have most of the things required or access. Many people have taken me up on the fact that when I say we don't have enough soil labs in the country, they take me up on that, but that's the truth. It's not accessible. It's not that it's not available, but it's not readily accessible. You have to travel far. You have a lot of things will go wrong. The temperature of the samples will change. It's not accessible. And even the people doing in that business are not spending money advertising to reach people. You know, so when it's not when it's not accessible, then it means it's not available.
Yeah.
And I would end with market amputation.
Okay, break it down.
Market amputation. Now, so you've done well. You've processed rice. You've processed cassava to gari, and you now say, I'm taking it to the market. Guess what? The market will amputate your hopes because the price will change. You are going to cartels. I recall, I always say this, and it's a true life story. When during Governor Fashola, he has nothing to do with it, but I don't remember the year, but I know it was during his regime, his tenure. And so one guy relocated from Germany, went to produce corn, had some knowledge of farming in Germany, and produced the corn and moved it in a bus. He owned the bus, moved it to K2 where corn is sold, and he got there and they were pricing him lower than the price they were selling.
Why?
Yeah, because he didn't connect. He just brought it to the market and they knew that he couldn't take it back. So because he was upset and angry with the system, they loaded it back and they went on Third Mainland Bridge with the staff and they offloaded it. True life story. Eventually, he has relocated back because the market amputated his hopes.
Bureaucracy.
So then two, you know, people grow. There was some time ago, somebody produced in Kaduna 100 hectares, 250 acres of passion fruits. And by the time the product was out, the market was not there to take it. You know, so market, you produce what the market wants, how and when it wants it. Not, we assume that, oh, there are over 20 million in Lagos. If one of them spend 200 naira per day on food times 20 million, yes, but how have you mapped out the strategy to ensure that it's 1% that you're servicing? Not, they all have different categories, different needs. So the market is what dashes people's hopes the most. I was in Mile 12 on one of my normal visits, and I saw one man. I'm sure he was just retired on that way. Wore a Nika, the farmer's hat in like South Africa. He brought a big truck, loaded watermelons with tomatoes. So when I saw him, I was like, this man is too touch for Mile 12. I saw them, when they opened that truck, the watermelon had broken. They planted a wrong variety, it had broken. That's one. Two, the tomatoes, the watermelon had hit the tomatoes, they had crushed. And I was telling the man, do you still have more? He still felt that he knew so much. And I was like, hey, you're going to lose more money.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, and I said, who's their merchant? They didn't have a merchant, they just brought it. They just brought it. They just think that it will sell. Well, it will sell, but at what price? So it's crucial that we pay attention, you know, to the market.
I think this market amputation of a topic, we have to present it as a topic.
Yeah.
We have to really talk about it because that is the end result. That's the goal, to make profits, to gain customers, to serve a need. So I think all that has to, you have to factor that in from the stats in the first place. You have to make your contacts right as well, so that after putting in all the hard work from soil testing to your seeds, having and planting quality seeds, to the entire processing, to value adding and packaging, when it gets to the markets, how are we sure that it's what they want? How are we sure of the pricing?
And many people will now complain that Mile 12 and other markets, that they are cheats and co. Don't forget that before most of those farmers leave their farms, they communicate with the merchants. So the merchants know 10 pickups is coming from this, 5 from this. So when you bring yours thinking it will sell, or when you bring it the day before, they tell you to bring it in, and you make a lot of losses.
Let's take some calls. Lagos Talks.
Hello.
Good evening. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Sorry, good evening.
Yeah, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, my name is Agnes.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening to the gentleman in the studio.
African farmer. Good evening.
Yeah, African farmer, good
Yeah.
evening.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think you tweeted earlier, but I'll ask the question. I'm interested in farming. How do I get to
That means you want to plant or rear livestock?
both?
Both.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So you can get across to us 0809 7000 222. We'll announce it later also, but 0809 7000 222.
All right. Keep listening for more information.
Yeah. So okay. So that takes me to something around.
Yes. I want to know how you differentiate between feasible and viable agribusiness opportunities.
So a project
The one that looks good.
so a project can be visible but not feasible, but not, it shows that it's profitable, but you may not have the time to invest to ensure that that product comes out to make profit. So the project may be feasible, as in you can do it, but it may not be viable to you because you may not have that time required to invest to get the results. So many people need to pay attention to feasible projects and viable. So when you put the money in, it will not be viable, and that's very crucial.
All right. Okay. To join the conversation, if you have questions, it's 0809 191 3913, 0809 222 0913. You can also tweet at Lagos Talks 913. On WhatsApp, it's 0809 234 5913. So those merchants, they earn money. That's how they earn
Oh
money.
yeah, so if you take anything to mile 12, 10%. If you make losses, they charge 10%. It's 10% flat, because the system in mile 12 is somebody also comes to take money from them per day. So anything you bring in, yeah, per
They
day.
come to take money from them. Per
Oh,
day.
there's a system. They also rent stalls per day. So every day they pay.
Oh, the merchants.
Yeah,
they-
the merchants
they
pay.
rent
They
the
rent
stall.
spaces.
Okay, to do what? What do they do with those spaces?
Oh yes, Owole, they call it Owole, Omonile. You know, it's available. They pay. So 10% of whatever you bring is what they charge. So if you don't have good productivity on the farm and you bring it there, if you don't operate your logistics properly, you would have to pay for that. So it's 10%. Anything you bring, if you make loss, fine. They don't know. 10%.
Except you have other means of selling it to like different.
There's no other means.
There are different retailers who.
Oh, those ones are worse. You supply, most of them don't pay. I've been there. You supply, they sell your produce, but they don't pay. So, but take it to mile 12, you will sell it,
Okay.
or any of those markets.
Yeah.
But that's not the best market also. So what I was doing before was putting everything 100%. We could send 20 buses of watermelon once to mile 12.
Okay.
It will go. You know, so gradually we began to sell at 10% to final consumers, and we did well. Yeah. So we get a lot of calls, messages around, I want to start agribusiness, I want to produce just like our last caller.
Yeah.
And so we decided to set up an agribusiness school.
Really?
Yeah.
And the message, I didn't read the message because I thought it was the same person since he
Okay.
said he sent a message. He said, hello Agribusiness, I'm interested in farming. Please, where can I get adequate training in Lagos?
Okay, so on the 11th of April, we're launching. You know, last week we said we will talk about something.
Is this the big announcement?
Yeah, this is big announcement. So because I had to do a lot around clearing my schedule.
Yeah.
So we're starting an agribusiness school, online and offline.
Okay.
The first will be offline, then we will go into online.
Okay.
We'll take you to the field. From there, we'll take you back to class. We'll go take you online again, and finally back to class. It's a 6 weekend, you know. So, but it's offline, online, and field across the value chain. So this first episode of first class will be talking around. With the first class, will be talking about different value chains, where you go home with an assignment to go and look at the value chain in which you feel you can plug in based on some criteria that you have to check on.
Yeah.
So once you are able to say, this is what I want to do, then we take you to the field. for you to see if what you have in your mind
It's feasible.
is feasible.
Yeah.
It's feasible.
Yeah.
Then when it's feasible, we now check again. You ask yourself, is this viable? If I put in 10 hours, will it bring the profits enough to take care of the family or for youths, for the youth? So and it's not the upper end classes that we're offering. It's mid-tier, nothing expensive. At least for now. At least for now. You know, we fund this program free.
Yeah.
So people should, we fund it, but it's free to the listeners for them to have an understanding of how agribusiness works. So 11th of April, we will start. Next week, Monday, we will bring out full details around how you can get involved in the agribusiness school that we're setting up.
Wow. So people can sign up. Okay, we'll give them details on how they can do that.
Yeah,
But I'm very excited to hear this. I think this is definitely going to change the game for those who are unemployed, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The youth, you lost your job, there's a place for you.
Yeah. Or you're trying to invest.
Yeah, there's a place for you across the chain.
Thank you so much, African Farmer, for coming today. We are definitely going to be avoiding all of these mistakes that you have, at least the common ones that you've mentioned. You gave us at least 5 of them. And I know that we're still going to talk about the market. I think that's very crucial. And I know you might not go into all the details because we're gonna have to sign on. Well, I know you're.
We'll go into the details, but it's a different dimension when you want to do it. You can have knowledge, but experience matters.
Yeah.
You need somebody to hold you by the hands.
All right. Thank you so much. So to ask more questions, especially the young man who called earlier, the phone lines are 0809 7222. That's for Agribusiness. 0809 7222. You can also reach them on 090 6000 6462. 090 6000 6462, or go to their office, number 17A, Allen Avenue, Ikeja, Lagos. On social media, it's AgricbusinessNG, African Farmer, or AgricbusinessNG, or
African Farmer M. That's my personal.
Direct. All right, that's what you have to do. Thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate you, sir.
It's another fulfilling moment.
I know, right? All right, you know we do this every Monday from 5:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. So look out for us next week, Monday, same time, same station. Coming up next is the Wise Men of Comedy on